has made some representation of the vowels. And they've said the I should be there, the A should be there, should be. So it means it is more or less true, but at least it given some, I would say, excuses to make some mathematics about that. Okay, so if we see the resonances, it is when it is more or less sustained. Let's say, for instance, we said A, I. So you know it is the same sound which is sustained, which is quasi-stationary. But it's not only sustained sounds, it's only transitions for vocals, for instance, T, B. It's not resonance, it's just a transition. So you can see that in the signal. No, was not the right one. All right. Come back. Yes. So we can see that we have quite a modification of the signals. So we have derivatives, and this is another piece. What is the difference between vowels and consonants? It is difficult to say. It is really a fuzzy approach of this. It's all mixed. And so we have to do with scientific representation and then to mix all this scientific representation. So if we see the signals, we can say that there is a general shape on the signal, which is the envelope. And of course, physicists and signal processing people have invented mathematical tools to deal with this. For instance, to get the syllable envelope, it would be a very low filtering, or now with numerical tools, it is more the Hilbert transformation. And periodicity of the voice, which is the vibration of the vocal folds, it could be a low pass filter. And then the formants, which is the higher structures. For instance, we say that the envelope is about 2 to 4 hertz. So it means the envelope changes 4 times in a second. The periodicity of the voice is between 50 and 500 hertz. For instance, for my voice, it's about 110. And for female voice, it is higher. Children voice is much higher, about 300 hertz. And then we have the fine structures, the formants, the resonancy we showed before, which are 1,500 hertz, 3,000 hertz. It is all this representation. So you can see that we have some physical production and mathematical tools to explore them. Why is the voice? The voice is for the hearing system. It goes to the ear. And what can we say is the hearing system? So the speech comes to the ear, and then it is transferred to the brain by the auditory pathways, and then it is at the brain stage that everything happens, which is the understanding. We can hear a sound, but a sound in itself, it means nothing. It means what the brain wants to do with this sound, what is the importance it does to it. And of course, this importance comes from the memory, from what we know. We always try to match the incoming signal to what we have in the brain. And as we say, we have also the lip cues, I could say the gestures, because when there is a talk, it is not only an avatar doing this, it is someone speaking, moving his arms, the lips going, the expression of his face, and all this is part of the language. So you know, it is in fact very complicated, but what is very magic is the brain can handle that. I don't know why, but it can. So if we see this, okay, just to go back to this, the air vibration goes to the auricle, to the outer ear. We will see this later very quickly because It could be anatomical lessons, and we are not here for this. Then it goes to the eardrum, and then the middle ear, inner ear, and auditory pathway. So you know these are different steps we must see for that matter. Oh gosh, what is this? This is the ear. Only what is in periphery. What is after that is about the same and maybe more complicated. Don't ask me about the brain, it's too complicated for me. Okay, so what we can say from this is we have a mistake, as usual. We have the air coming there, going to the outer ear, to the eardrum, and then it is transmitted by the middle ear to the inner ear, which is going to do a transformation of the signal between the air vibration to something which is physiological signals. I would say chemical signals, if the dean was still here, which is transmitted to the brain, and then it is up to the brain to decide what they do with this. So we are not, well, you know that in the inner ear, the ear, you have here the auditory system, and here you have the balance system. If you can walk, it's because you are not unbalanced. You know, when people can see the room spinning, they fall, and it is part of this. So it is not only hearing, it is really some of the basis of the life. The outer ear. Okay, let's go quickly. We can say quickly that it is a filter. It is the quarter of a wavelength. So the quarter of a wavelength with the dimension of the ear, which is more or less the same for everybody. Some people are small, some people are big, but the head is about the same for everybody. So the length is about the same for everybody. So a quarter of wave in the outer ear is mean about 3,300 more or less. So it means that it is a primary filter, a filter which is in the voice, because the voice, when we speak, it is more or less between 500 and 5,000 hertz. So you know, this is really in the middle. So it is the first filter for the voice. In other words, the ear is made for communication. So now the middle ear is just a transmission. The transmission is 3 small bones. So we are not going to make the anatomy of this, but just make it is a transmission. It is not only a transmission, it is only an amplification, because the surface which goes to the inner ear is 17 times smaller than the eardrums. So the eardrums gets more information than what would have got what is in the steps to enter the inner ear. So it is a kind of amplification. Also, it is the adaptation. You know well that if a wave comes on a surface, if it comes back, nothing is transmitted. If nothing is transmitted, nothing goes to the brain. That's very sensible. So the middle ear is made to make the adaptation. And you know very well for electrical engineers that the power is transmitted when the impedances, the resistances, impedances in general, are adapted, when they are the same both ways. So this is what is done in this. Also, it is a high-pass filter, because in the phonation, only the low frequencies, mainly the low frequencies are transmitted. So in the speech, the high frequencies bear information. If this information is not transmitted, we will have a big loss in communication. So the ear is done to try to beat this, way of making the language by the phonation system, which is to give a big importance to the low frequencies. So the ear is trying to catch back the information in this. It is a high-pass filter. And also it is a ear protection. If it's too noisy, the muscles which are in the inner ear, small muscles, they get stronger and they just limitate the vibration, so they protect the system. Because if the system is not protected, we can get deaf. If someone has a very good hearing and if he goes into a very heavy sound, he can be deaf after that. For instance, in parties, you are advised not to stay too close from the loudspeakers because it may damage the hearing system. So it is already done like this. The inner ear, it is a spiral, and the spiral is from, of course, the bottom to the top. It's like a spiral stairs, and at the bottom we have the high frequencies, at the top we have the low frequencies. Of course, we could talk for hours on that. These frequencies are converted, they are vibration, air vibration, which come to the liquids in the ear, and they are transformed into chemical signals transmitted to the brain by the nerves. There is a machine, if I can use this word for this, an organ, which is the organ of Corti, and this organ, this machine, is done to make the transformation between the air vibration into the chemical stimulus, which will be transmitted to the brain. If this transmission is not done,